Hello, good day viewers. In this tutorial, I'm going to introduce this important topic, variation, which is treated in JSS3 and SS1, which correspond to grade 9 and grade 10, right? So let's define variation. Variation is the relationship between two or more quantities in which a change in one quantity brings about a corresponding change in the other quantity. Let me explain this. Suppose I bought a single book, one book, at the rate of, let me say, 20 naira. Definitely, two books will cost me how much? 40 naira, right? And what about three books? They will cost me 60 naira. Observe, we have two quantities here, the number of books and the amount. As the quantity increase, also the amount increase, right? This means that a change in one quantity brings about a corresponding change in the other quantity. But suppose one book costs 20 naira, two books cost 20 naira, there is no any effect, no change. Therefore, we regard that as non-variation. Let's continue. So we have basically three types of variations. Though we have another one which is called partial variation, we're going to treat that one at the end of this chapter. So the three basic types of variations are direct variation, inverse variation, and the joint variation. Let me talk about direct variation first. When we say direct variation is a type of relationship that exists between two quantities in which the increase in one quantity brings about the increase in the other quantity, or the decrease in one quantity will bring about decrease in the other quantity. Just like the example I gave recently for number of books and their corresponding cost. If I buy a single book, that is one book, at the rate of 20 naira, definitely you should know that if these are four books, they will cost me what? 20 times 4, which is what? 80 naira. Do you see that? This is direct variation because as the number of books increase, likewise the amount increase. This is direct variation. And we have the second one, which is what? Inverse variation. Inverse variation. An inverse variation is the relationship between two quantities in which the increase in one quantity will cause a decrease in the other quantity, and a decrease in one quantity will cause an increase in the other quantity. So let me see an example of this. Suppose we have two people here, that swift a class, maybe in 4 hours. So what do you expect when you increase the number of people? Suppose we increase this to 4 people doing the same work. The number of hours will definitely decrease. 2 hours. Can you see that? As you increase the number of people, the number of hours will decrease. And if you decrease the number of people, the number of hours will increase. So this is inverse variation. So what about joint? A situation where you have a combination of these two, or one. You may have direct, inverse to inverse, or what? Direct to inverse. So it's just a combination of one of them or the two of them. So let's go back here. Let's talk about the mathematical representation of these variations. For direct variation, if A is directly proportional to B, what do you expect? This is a sign of what? Proportionality. A is directly proportional to B. So mathematically, in an equation, we can write it as what? A is equal to KB, for which this K is constant. I will explain this later. And if you want to find this K, you make it the subject by dividing both sides by B. Therefore, K is equal to A divided by B. For inverse variation, if A is inversely proportional to B, then Mathematically, we can write this as A inversely proportional to B. You can see this is an inverse of B, 1 divided by B. And if you want to make it an equation, you attach K by multiplying the right hand side by K. So you have A is equal to K divided by B. And if you decide to make K the subject, you have K equal to AB. Because finding the constant of proportionality is very important in variation. Then the joint, sometimes I told you can have a combination of one of them or the two of them. So if A is proportional to B, once you hear proportional without mentioning whether it is direct or inversely, you should consider it as what? Direct variation. So if A is proportional to B and also at the same time inversely proportional to C, it implies that what? A is what? Directly proportional to B and inversely proportional to C, written mathematically as A equal to KB divided by C. And if you make K the subject by multiplying both sides by C, then you divide by B, you have K equal to AC divided by B. This is for joint variation. But before I say bye-bye, let me explain this constant of proportionality because it is very important. Let us use direct variation as an example. Suppose we have number of books here, number of books, and we have the cost here, the cost. One book, suppose one book cost 20 naira. 20 naira. Okay, what do you expect for 2 books? 2 books will be what? 2 multiplied by 20, definitely, right? Which is equal to 40 naira. 40 naira. What about 3 books? 3 will be what? 3 multiplied by 20, which is equal to 60 naira. Let me stop here. 4 will be what? 4 multiplied by 20 equal to 80 naira. So if you observe, 20 is our constant here because this is what keeps on repeating. So we can conclude that the cost of these books is directly proportional to the quantity, let me use Q for that, quantity of books, which implies that C will be equal to KQ, where K here is our 20. So let us use this equation and see whether we're going to get 20 or not. Therefore, K will be equal to what? C divided by Q. So what is C? Let us use one of these statements here. I think we can use this one, for which the cost is equal to 60 and the quantity is 3. So it will be what? The cost 60, K is equal to 60. That is the cost of 3 books. Then we divide by the quantity, which is 3. And 60 divided by 3 will definitely give us 20. Can you see that? K, which is a constant of proportionality here, is equal to 20. So this is all about introduction to variations. Subsequently, we'll be solving problems related to direct, inversely, and joint variations. Thank you for watching. Do share to your learning colleagues. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more exciting videos. Bye-bye.